Hi, George Hepworth here, Grover Park Consulting. Let's build Mike's mobile library. Today's session will be a little shorter. All we're going to do is set up 3 screens based on lookup tables. So we're going to copy the first screen from the production into the development, and then I'm going to duplicate it twice for the other 2 lookup tables. Now, Access developers recognize the term lookup table. Lookup tables are used where we have a small set of options that are used in many places. For example, a common one you might see in a lot of Access applications would be a table of the states of the United States of America. We have 50 states, District of Columbia, and some territories that are sometimes included. So this table would have no more than 50, 51, possibly 53, 54, 55 records in it to account for all of the states. And those would then be used to look up or retrieve those standard values. And we're using 3 of those lookup fields, 3 of those lookup tables in our Power Apps application for the library. And so we're going to quickly go through that process and emphasize the fact that I think I discovered it's probably easier to do the duplication and then update names than it is to try to copy and paste 3 different times. I found that I lost a lot of detail, or things got out of sync when I was doing copy paste, and I found that the duplicate approach tended to work better. You may have a different experience in your Power Apps application. That's what I found in mine. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. I've started my Power Apps development environment in my Office 365 account. Opened the development copy of the application. You can see the orange color tells us it is the development version. And I'm going to play the application. I always want to say run because that's what we do in Access. We run our applications, but I'm going to play it. There are 3 new screens, or 3 screens that we haven't set up yet. The genre screen, the media condition, and the media type screen. These are based on lookup tables. Let's quickly look at the lookup tables in these screens, and you'll see what I mean. The genre, there's a list of, I believe it's 21 different genres that I currently anticipate I'll either have now or will have by the time I'm completed entering all of my books into the catalog in my library. Literary fiction is by far the most common one. You can see here's a list of all of the literary fiction that I've already entered. Natural history, I have 1 volume of natural history entered, and so on. Gallery on the left lists the items in the lookup table. Gallery on the lower right illustrates or lists all of those books in the selected category. So looking at natural history, and there's only 1 book, Many Rivers to Cross. In the upper right, we have a form to edit, and I can either select with the pencil icon, the edit icon, to edit this. I can either correct a spelling error or change the name if I decide that I didn't quite name it correctly or appropriately, and assign a new sort order. Now, sort order is used to display the values in my lookup table in the sequence I want the user to see them. If I didn't use the sort order, this would sort either by virtue of the primary key value, which is inherently random as far as a user is concerned. It depends on how I entered them. Or it would be alphabetical, which is not very useful in a lot of cases. So I use the sort order to specify how I want them to come. Let's look at media condition. Very much the same thing. Gallery on the left for the lookup table. These are the values that we've stored, mint through trashed. 7 conditions that I'm going to assign to each book. I only have one. The majority of the books I have are in the excellent condition. I have one which is mint. That's a publisher's copy that is in my closet in still original wrapper. Some are in good condition, and so on. Same features here: gallery on the left, gallery on the lower right, form in the upper right for editing. And of course, both of the screens have the add icon to add new conditions if I ever decide I want to increase them. Not likely to happen very often. And the third is the media type. And right now I only have 4: books, periodicals, DVDs or CDs, and VHS tapes. I may add one. Let's go ahead and add one just to see how the add works. Okay, we'll go ahead. I had to do a little reset there. I had an error that I needed to reset before I could demonstrate this. We click the add icon. That sets the form into add mode. And remember, we have 2 basic modes for forms. We have the add mode, where we're going to put a new record into the table, and edit mode, where we're going to change a value or values in an existing record. There's a third mode called view, which makes it read-only. You can use that if we need to. So we now have the form in add mode. I'm going to go ahead and type in a new type of media, give it a sort order, save it, and now it appears in my media type list in the gallery on the left. Unfortunately, I made a couple of typos, so I'm going to go back and edit. And this time when I click on the pencil to edit it, it puts the form into edit mode. Change my spelling mistakes, save it again, and now we have the 5th type of media that will eventually go into the library. So that's pretty much how these 3 lookup forms, or lookup screens work. They all have the same general design and the same purpose. They maintain our lookup lists. Hopefully there will be very, very few changes over time, as just now I decided, well, I might eventually want to include vinyl records, and I can accommodate that by adding 1 record, but chances are that they will not be changed or added very often. So let's take a quick look at the process that I had to go through to copy this from the production to the development. And I'm not going to go through that whole process again because I think it's just kind of boring and it wouldn't be very helpful. But what I ended up doing was I took the first one, which is the media type. Then I switched to the production version. As you can see, here's the same screen, the media type screen. It's blue, which tells us it's in production. And in order to bring it across, I simply went to media screen type, selected it, and then did Control All. Oops, got to make sure I'm on the right place when I do that. And that selects all of the objects. You can see they're all now shown with the gray background, meaning they're all selected. I can do a Control C to copy them. Come back. I'll have to close my screen. I created a copy of this. I called it Demo. Select the demo. Do Control V. And it didn't work. Oh, now it's going to work. Second time's the charm. And it's bringing across all of the objects. Again, all of them are highlighted with gray to show that they came from the other screen. Now, we've talked about this before. When I paste in The default is going to be upper left corner is at 0x, and I believe it's 40y. So if I set it back to 0y, everything pops back into place. Now there are a couple of errors, and this is one reason I decided that for the other two, rather than try to do the same steps, these errors relate to data primarily, and what's happening, I think, without digging into it too deeply, is a case where it's easier to just start over than to try to identify all the problems. There's some subtle differences between the way I set up values in the two versions. Now, I don't recall actually doing that. I thought I was just pretty consistent, but apparently I made some subtle changes. And so what happens is the development version doesn't recognize this variable, var media type, as being exactly the same as it was in the production. And so now I have this error, and chasing down those errors through several places. You can see there are at least two on this screen where there are errors that result from the way those are handled. So once I got through that first one, and that's this one here, I did do that the same way, and I did find the errors and clean them up and get it all sorted out. But then I decided, rather than do that 2 more times, it would be much quicker, easier, and less painful, to be frank, instead of doing the copy-paste, simply to duplicate the existing screen, creates a copy of it, and there it is. Now, the main advantage of this is you can see there are no data errors. I do have to modify all the names. So since this would actually replace, and I'm going to go ahead and collapse this so I can see it. This would replace the media condition, and then I would duplicate it again to replace publication genres. I would have to connect everything up. But I found that in working through the two approaches, because of those data errors, this approach where I did a duplicate screen and then simply changed, for example, this one it was looking at media type. If I said I want this one to be based on spelling counts, media condition, that turned out to be a much more straightforward approach to duplicating the other two lookup screens. So without dragging you through that whole entire laborious process of troubleshooting it, I thought I would explain that. In general, it turns out, I believe, that getting the initial one, copying those objects, can be quicker, but a more efficient process appears to me to be to just do the duplicates. So I'm going to go ahead and remove now all my bonus screens that I have created during development and testing and the demo for this video. Get rid of those two so that I have back here, and there's a backup that I made at one point when I was trying to get this all worked out for you for this demo as well. And now I'm down to 3 screens, no more errors. Everything in the 3 lookup screens is set up correctly. That's pretty much it for today's video. What I'm going to ask you to do is come back one more time, maybe 2 more times, as I look at the final step, and that is where we're going to take a cover photo. I don't have the cover photo set up yet. It's a blank screen. I will do the same copy-paste process to set it up initially because I don't have a way to duplicate it here. But the cover photo will allow me to use my smartphone or actually using the web camera to take a picture of the cover of a book, store it into Azure Blob Storage, and then assign that image as the cover photo. Oops, not what I wanted to do, sorry. Assign that image back as the cover image for each of the publications. This one, as you can see, is using a placeholder. This is the actual publication. This one's a mistake. We'll clean those all up when we have the cover photo screen in place. Thanks for your time and patience. I would appreciate it very much if you hit the subscribe button and like this video so you can continue to see progress through development of Mike's Mobile Library. See you next time.